Thank you very much to my friend from Florida who's been such a terrific mentor and model for so many of us. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing us this special order hour to highlight the horrific conditions 116 days into captivity that more than 100 hostages are enduring. I stand before you today to highlight the tragic case of Noa Argamani, a 25-year-old Israeli woman who many know from a video posted by Hamas on October 7th of her being abducted by terrorists and taken away on a motorcycle, screaming, "Don't kill me." This is a still photo from that video. You can see the absolute terror in her eyes as she is being kidnapped into Gaza by armed terrorists who had brutally murdered, raped, and tortured her friends and fellow Israeli citizens. This is a photo of her before October 7th, a beautiful smile full of life, hope, and a bright future ahead. Noa should have been released with the other female civilians who were released during the temporary ceasefire 2 months ago. That was one of the categories that Hamas had agreed to release. But she was not. And we know why. Hamas broke the agreement with Israel because they did not want Noa to describe the rape and violence that she endured in captivity. We know from other hostages that were released at that time that the same awful sexual violence that occurred with horrific brutality on October 7th continued in the dark, damp, cramped tunnels in Gaza. And that was 61 days ago. 2 months. At least as of 16 days ago, we know that Noa is still alive. We know because Hamas released a psychological terror video of her sitting with 2 other hostages. But we know nothing about her condition because Hamas refuses to allow the International Red Cross into Gaza to check on the medical conditions of the hostages. That is required by international law. But somehow, for many, the fact that Hamas is a designated terrorist organization that has violated countless international laws and ceasefires, I might add, seems to give them a pass at adhering to international law about medical checks and wellness visits. Since when do we allow terrorist organizations to dictate how international law operates? And what makes this even worse is that we haven't heard anything from Qatar, nor Egypt, nor Turkey, nor any other country with influence on Hamas to push them, to prod them, to allow international medical professionals to access the innocent civilian hostages, even though we know from those who have come out that their conditions violate a host of international laws. I have met with families and mothers of some of the young women who remain in captivity. They, of course, are devastated, worried, and distraught about their daughters. But you know what keeps them up at night? They assume that their daughters are pregnant with babies of Hamas terrorists. Imagine that being a mother's final thought before she falls asleep and her first thought when she wakes up. Noa's mother, Leora, has an additional heartbreaking cause for urgency. You see, Leora is currently battling terminal stage 4 brain cancer. She is desperately hoping that she can see her daughter before she passes away. And this tragic story hits me especially hard because my father died of brain cancer 34 years ago when I was just 13 years old. I remember to this day the last time I got to see my father before he died. I still feel lucky to have been able to say goodbye. Noa deserves to have that same memory too. And Leora deserves to die with the peace of mind that Noa is out of captivity and, hopefully, on her way to healing. I want to read an excerpt from a letter that Noa Argamani, Noa's mother, sent to President Biden. She wrote, "I am terminally ill with stage 4 brain cancer. All that's running through my mind before I part ways with my family forever is the chance to hug my daughter, my only child, one last time. We cannot wait any longer. Noa will soon lose her mother. And while every single additional day that Noa spends in captivity could be her last, it could also be her mother's last. The international community must pressure Hamas to immediately cease their illegal kidnapping of more than 100 innocent civilians who are being tortured, raped, and horrifically treated. Israel has reportedly agreed with the United States, Qatar, and Egypt to make significant concessions to Hamas to release the hostages. It is now incumbent upon Hamas to agree to do so, and for that to happen, the international community must apply pressure on Hamas to agree to the proposed ceasefire and release the hostages. We must bring them home. We must bring them all home now. Time is running out. Thank you. I yield back.